I'm Bob Roberts, your MTAR Government Affairs Director, and this is your Government Affairs Update for Thursday, November 3rd, 2011. With all the talk lately about NFIP, FHA, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac, you may be a little tired of hearing about acronyms in your Government Affairs Updates. However, there's one important trio of letters that many realtors still aren't aware of and to which you really need to be paying attention. Those letters are QRM. They stand for Qualified Residential Mortgage, but what they ultimately end up meaning has yet to be decided, and that's of major importance to all real estate professionals. In 2010, Congress passed the Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, also known as the Dodd-Frank Act. It's a massive and sweeping piece of legislation, but the part we're focusing on today is Section 941, which occurs on page 515. Section 941 deals with asset-backed securities, or ABSs. For the purposes of this explanation, we'll oversimplify a bit and just say that ABSs are a bundle of mortgages that the lenders turn around and sell to investors. In an effort to avoid a repeat of the recent financial meltdown, Dodd-Frank now requires lenders to retain a portion of the financial risk on their own books rather than pass all of the risk on to investors. Specifically, lenders will have to retain 5% of the credit risk in most cases. Obviously, such risk retention is not something lenders will be very keen on, so it's anticipated that the legislation will urge the lending market towards the method for avoiding this 5%. That's where we start to see this new term, Qualified Residential Mortgage. Dodd-Frank specifies that if a loan is a Qualified Residential Mortgage, or QRM, then the bank doesn't need to retain the credit risk on it. Furthermore, if an ABS contains any loans that are not a QRM, even just one, then the bank has to retain 5% risk. However, if the ABS is entirely QRM, then once again, no risk retention. Obviously, this creates a huge incentive for lending institutions to make as many QRM loans as possible, which on the surface is a good thing. But here's the catch. Dodd-Frank didn't actually define what a QRM is, only that a group of regulatory agencies would have to come up with that definition later. That's where the trouble truly begins. The groups responsible for defining QRM, including HUD, FDIC, and the Fed, came up with a proposed definition earlier this year. MTAR looked at the 376-page proposal and found several objectionable onerous provisions, but the most concerning element of all was that to be considered QRM, the loan needed a loan-to-value ratio of 80%. In other words, QRM loans would need a 20% down payment. According to research conducted by MTAR, it would take the average American family 16 years to save enough money for a 20% down payment. That means that if this proposed rule goes into effect, it would put QRM loans financially out of reach for most homebuyers, ultimately driving them toward FHA and undermining the very return of private capital to the market that Dodd-Frank was trying to assist. And again, this was just one of the multiple problems that the real estate industry is taking issue with in the proposed rule. MTAR, along with 44 other organizations, has officially submitted comments suggesting that the regulatory agencies scrap their current proposal and go back to the drawing board for a new definition. So what can you do? Well, at the moment, there's no direct action that agents can take. It's just important that everyone be educated on what has happened, on what's currently happening, and paying attention as more happens later. MTAR spent the first part of this year rallying the troops to oppose this proposal. A call for action went up to alert Congress that the intent of Dodd-Frank was about to be subverted. In response, Congress sent the regulatory agencies a letter from a bipartisan group of 54 senators and over 300 representatives, demanding that the proposal be dropped and entirely rewritten, lest the current proposal cause further damage to the recovering housing market. The period for public comment ended on August 1st, and since then, the agencies have been deliberating and considering all of the input that they've received. Now, it's just a matter of waiting to see what they ultimately decide. If you'd like to learn more about this situation, there are several useful resources. To read the text of the Dodd-Frank bill and the proposed QRM rule, you can visit these web addresses. Specifically, since these are long documents, you'll want to start reading around pages 515 and 98, respectively. Also, MTAR has lots of informational resources, research, and analysis available on Realtor.org and updates on the situation as it currently stands at RealtorActionCenter.com. It's important to stay educated about current legislative and regulatory proposals so that you can be a greater service to your clients. When they have questions, They'll know to come to you as the voice of real estate. I'll see you next time.